All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Ralph Liedert from VTT Technical Research Center of Finland, from the cold and north and rainy Finland at the moment. I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about MedPhab, and I'm sharing my screen. And there we go. So what is MedPhab? We have received funding from the European Union to establish a European pilot line for photonics devices, medical photonics devices, which is very, very unique. It's the first European pilot line dedicated for photonics devices. And we are going to work on this project for 4 years. It started beginning of this year. And the end the end goal here is to really have a sustainable ecosystem and pilot line environment that startups, companies, research institutes can go to accelerate the commercialization of their devices. The main benefits of working with us, I think that's maybe an important angle to talk about, is that typically when you're a small company or a research institute, you have to find your technologies puzzle piece by puzzle piece. Very often you're standing there, you're dealing with a lot of partners, a lot of potential opportunities, but in the end, you're gonna take your individual technologies, upscaling options and so forth together like a puzzle. And that can be very consuming and time intensive and thus expensive. The idea of MedPhab is that we pre-arrange these puzzle pieces for you. So we work with currently 18 partners in a centralized community, partners that already have a very strong track record, and most importantly, partners that already know what the other partners can do and what they cannot do. I think the strength really of this pilot line is that we are establishing at the moment a so-called technology map or innovation maturity map, where we exactly map down the individual competences of all the partners. We will rate them in TRL levels, and something new that you might have not heard of is MRL, manufacturing readiness level. So when companies are coming to us and they want to have a certain technology problem solved, we can direct them very fast to the correct partner and speed up the commercialization of the project. Here, a quick peek on the current partners that are part of the project. So in general, when you talk to us, to MedPhab at info@medphab.eu, you get all these brains thinking for you for your project. And I think that's a very, very unique offering. And I'm going to tell you in the following slides on how we will realize this in the upcoming calls. Okay, shortly about the different technologies that we are offering within the pilot line. This is a small selection of some of the main technologies that we have as an offering from our partners. I think the important part here is that we can cover the whole spectrum, really, from R&D services in early development all the way to ISO 13485 certified manufacturing. I think this is very often a gap where technology is getting stuck. That's, for example, if you're working predominantly with RTOs, for example, they can only go so and so far. If you work with manufacturing companies, they might not have the manpower and willingness to actually invest a lot into early stage R&D. At MedPhab, we can cover basically the bigger picture. So how to work with us? So the idea is that, and this is, by the way, all in establishment at the moment. We are just in month 11 of the project at the moment, so we don't have a full functional pilot line yet. I think that's important to mention, but we are very interested in talking to you already, and you have, through your input and through your discussions that we can have with you, a good chance to also shape how the pilot line will look like. The general idea is that we have customers, any size company basically works, who contacts then MedPhab through a centralized front office. So there will be one individual contact point, and we will go with you through your technology brief. So we will generate an intake form or an intake document where we specify the high-level goals, what you want to achieve. And then with that intake form, we are planning and mapping the technologies that we have inside MedPhab. So we look at the individual partners, what their competences are on a TRL level and on a MRL level, manufacturing readiness level, and then we get back to you in relatively short time on the technologies that we can help you with, but also we try to identify then technology gaps and where we need external partners. And of course, we also collaborate a lot with the other European pilot lines. So shortly about the positioning of MedPhab. So this is one of the graphs I think that we have found very, very useful in early discussion with companies. So basically, as you go along, I hope you see my mouse cursor here, as you go along the technology development of a project, you get more expensive in project volume. The more you're going into a controlled DMR environment, the more you're going to pre-manufacturing, manufacturing, clinical trials, the more expensive development typically gets. Here in the beginning, you are still very flexible, but to be able to transition really from early stage development to manufacturing and productization, you need to be able to follow certain quality and regulatory principles. And that's what we can help you with. So we have companies such as, for example, Philips Innovation Services and Jabil on board that do manufacturing all the time. And we can help you to create the experimental part and the upscaling of your devices in such a way that we can blend into regulatory then towards the end of the project. As you can see, MedPhab is covering the middle ground here. So we are not taking care of final manufacturing. This is not the case, but we are identifying manufacturing partners throughout the project who can then take care of the final manufacturing for you. I want to quickly stop on this slide here, because I think this is maybe the second most important slide that we've been using now in early discussions with customers. So when you come to us with a technology need, and we write down and discuss with you to get the question right, basically, what is it what you need, what you expect from MedPhab. It's very important to put down the project roughly on the map, to say, for example, we are now here still in a very exploratory phase, and we try to get within the MedPhab project, or with help of MedPhab, to an advanced development stage, for example. Or we are already very advanced developed, and we are aiming at product launch. So mapping the project on this slide, I think is very, very important in the beginning, to also know what to expect throughout the project. MRL level, I think, is something that very often is neglected. And I think this is one of the strengths of MedPhab, in a sense that very often you might have components or devices that you've been working on for many, many years, which have a very, very high TRL level already. And I think it's very often companies think or believe or hope that if you have components that are very high TRL level, that basically integration and making a product out of it is very easy. But the reality is that the integration level needs to be developed as the TRL level as well. So advancing technology on a manufacturing readiness level scale is something we can help you with at MedPhab. And we can give you a realistic estimate on where your project is currently, or where your technology is currently positioned within this graph, and how far we can get on an integration scale as well. I want to show you a short example. This is actually something close to my heart here. So we have been developing here at VTT a fluorescence reader, a miniaturized fluorescence reader for lab-on-chip devices. Basically, it's a wireless reader device that has very sophisticated optics inside, and it sends then the data to the mobile phone. And it can read microfluidic chips or lateral flow tests alike. The issue with this is that it looks like a product, it behaves like a product, but it is not a product. So we got at VTT only so far to basically develop everything around the disposable chip. We have developed the optics, the electronics, the wireless communication, the app, and so forth. but we cannot work with real clinical samples. So we've done some preclinical testing now with biobank samples here from local supplier. But to get to ISO 13485 certification and to production, we would have to advance this device on an integration level, maybe from MRL level like 5 to 9, for example. And this is something that MedPhab, for example, can help with. So the here are some extra details on the readout principle. That's maybe not so relevant here now, but if this case would now come into MedPhab, we would now map all the technologies on where they are currently, and the goal of this device could then, for example, be we want to go from preclinical testing to clinical testing, and what partners could help us then with upscaling of the device, production of the device, and certification of the device. This is now a slide that you probably should take a screenshot of or note down. We have built in our pilot line project 2 open calls in June next year and in June in 2022. We will have open calls for projects from external projects that we will pilot inside the MedPhab pilot line. So we're going to be in year 2 and year 3 of our project. And these cases are meant to be there for testing the front office operations, the customer intake, and the whole process really from working with external customers. Bear in mind, so we want to have a fully sustainable pilot line at the end of these 4 years. So it's a pilot line that should exist way beyond the lifetime of the project. And these are the 2 open calls where we'll test the operational part. If you're interested in participating to these calls, by the way, there's a cost sharing model implemented here. So the European Union will carry some of the costs for the external customers. It's not quite clear at which percentage. At the moment, we think somewhere between 50 and 70%. But if you want to stay informed, check out the webpage www.medphab.eu or send us an email at info@medphab.eu. That's where I'm also then can get in touch with you. So I'm seeing your emails when you send it to this email address. And yeah, we're looking forward to collaborate with you. So I think my time is up, and I'm looking very much forward to the collaboration with you.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Thanks a lot. So you were exactly on time, even a couple of minutes earlier. So we compensate for my too much talking at the beginning. So Ralph, it's really interesting. You know, I have still my heart in MedPhab because I studied the project before Lena, my colleague, was studying took over. So for me, it's really interesting to see, yeah, this actually manufacturing readiness level is really a nice point for MedPhab, because maybe you can spend a couple of words more there. I mean, you put already a lot of attention there, but basically if a project comes and you will evaluate also this readiness level in this direction, and then it will be taken over by a specific partner, or how will it be then really driven?
Yes, so the process will go that we will have a customer intake form. At the moment, it's still a Word document. In the end, we will hopefully have a web page where external people can contact us. And then we go with a dedicated expert group through that individual proposal or through this technology request, actually. And we will have in the background then our technologies of all the partners mapped out with all the TRL and MRL levels of all the processes. And then we try to put that project on the map. We can identify then rather quickly. These would be, for example, the 3-4 partners that would be ideal for you. We also will have so-called production kits. So some of the technologies that are going together very often, for example, fiber optics integration, PCB design, and so forth. Those will be production kits of pre-arranged partners that have been used before. So basically, in the analogy of a puzzle, these are pre-assembled puzzle pieces that we can present to you. So you don't have to take care of the whole picture anymore. And then At the moment, it's not 100% decided yet, but the way of then collaborating would be then you will have a prime collaboration partner. So you will then contract with one company, and the other little bit lower priority partners will be then working as a subcontractor. So MedPhab is not a legal entity; it's a project. So as MedPhab, we can not make offers. We are not a legal entity. We are not a company, but the partnering will be then through a prime partner from the MedPhab community.
And do you plan to make a legal entity at some point, maybe after the duration of the project?
That's to be decided.
Okay, so still open. Yes. So very good. So thanks a lot, Ralph. So hopefully everybody took a screenshot of that of the dates. So we are really soon open for calls, and so hopefully we will have many applicants. Is there actually, Ralph, some rules about applications? So there is someone that is excluded or recommended to apply, just to tell to our audience?
Not sure what you mean with this, but if there's, for example, now a company and says that, wait a second, one of these MedPhab partners are our direct competitor. We do not want to share any information with them on our technology need, then this is possible. So you can, for example, exclude the sharing of this intake technology request form during filling out the intake. So this is
but from your side, nobody's excluded. So everybody can apply with this project or her project, and then come. So this, very good. So thanks a lot, Ralph.